welcome to this week's episode of Speaking About Speaking with my lovely guest, Michelle Haslam. Hello, Michelle.
Hi, Jackie. Thank you for having me.
You're more than welcome. I do like the way that we're actually, well, you're certainly coordinated with my brand colours, which always, always nice, more so than me.
I knew in advance this is why I'm wearing this stuff.
Yeah, thank you. TikTok lady. Michelle, you are known as the TikTok lady. Do you have any other titles that you go by?
I started myself out as a TikTokpreneur, which was just I was just trying to come up with something different, clever, something that stands out a little bit. And it was basically the fact that, you know, I'm helping people in business, but with TikTok very specifically. So, but yeah, no, I think what happens is whenever I go anywhere, and people run into me and they say, "Oh, you're the TikTok lady." So people seem to have heard about me, don't necessarily know who I am, and so it's I just thought it was quite a funny thing to be called, and that's
I think it's brilliant. Yeah, I mean, before we sort of started the chat, normally I do ask my guests how they would like to be introduced. I unfortunately forgot to ask you that, but you are the TikTok lady. We all know you as the TikTok
Apparently,
lady.
I am.
Yeah, that must be a great way.
That's what the crowds have called me. Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
So tell me how it all started. Then I'm going to swap you over so that I can play about with the picture. So I'm going to put you there, so then I can do that if I want to.
Okay.
So tell us how it all started, Michelle. How did your TikTok career start?
So it was I would say almost exactly 3 years to the day that I was scrolling on TikTok myself one day and saw an advert for a business, and I had a 9 to 5 for 3 days a week at the time, and a then 3-year-old who I was looking after the rest of the time. And I thought to myself, I've not got enough on in life. I'm going to start a new business alongside my 9 to 5. And at the time, someone suggested to me that I should go onto TikTok to promote this new business, which was affiliate marketing, basically selling other people's products and getting a cut of the commission. So that's what I started doing. I just went on and just started making videos, and I didn't think too hard about what I was doing or anything. And then gradually, you know, I was terrible at the beginning, absolutely awful. And gradually, as time went on, became a lot more natural, and things started to flow, and my followers went up. And I think very quickly I got to 50,000 followers. And then, you know, I'm now, so that took, I don't know, maybe a year to get to that. And then, you know, 2 years on from that, I'm now coming up to my 100,000 followers.
I know, incredible. I've been following you for a while, and sort of, I had a look today, and you're up well over 95,000. It's just,
I am, yeah.
Incredible amount of people, incredible.
It's amazing.
So when you started then, and please, if there's anybody out there listening, watching, do drop us a line, put a comment in, or if you've got any questions for Michelle, then do ask. But Michelle, I'm intrigued as to how a young mother is scrolling through TikTok, starts a business, and then obviously you were recommended, but were you not looking at those videos and thinking, how is this going to be relate to me?
Not in the slightest, no. No, that didn't happen. I hadn't pictured myself on there in the slightest. But so one of the products that I had signed up for, I was the downline. So the person that was above me, they were doing quite well on TikTok. And it wasn't until they said to me, you should be doing the same thing, that I was like, okay, you know, I'm not one to back away from a challenge, but it hadn't occurred to me in the slightest to do it, you know. And I wasn't one of these people. So a lot of people are of the opinion that TikTok is only for young people, only for for dances and that sort of thing, because I'd been on TikTok long enough to know that there was another side to it. But yeah, the idea of me going on there, until someone says it to me, sometimes I'm oblivious to these opportunities. But I am forever grateful that they suggested it. So
yeah, so you'd actually been a sort of a fan of TikTok yourself. So you were looking through and seeing what people were doing.
Yeah, and I was looking at things that were relevant to my business as well. So when I did decide to go on myself, I kind of knew the kind of content that was working and wasn't working. So I was able to go on and, hit the ground running. Although it did, it took a while. I wasn't making sales at the beginning at all. You have to build that up, that know, like, and trust. But
Yeah.
no, it's done well.
So what did the first videos look like? What were they? Were they just you selling or?
No. So very rarely do I ever do a hard sell of any sort on TikTok. My first videos were because I was in this affiliate marketing space within the making money online niche. So what I tended to talk about was different ways of making money online. So it wasn't just the products that I was selling. It was just general advice, general websites that I'd found, other ways of making money online that I'd considered myself, but not necessarily done. So it was just advising people how to do that side of things. So that's how I started. And then it gradually pivoted. When I moved away from that space, I pivoted my account and started talking more about things to do with my life. Almost all my videos from the very beginning have been just a talking head, very similar to what you're seeing here, just a talking head. Essentially, almost all my videos are like that. And that's how I've sort of grown that following.
Yeah. And so you kind of cover all subject matters. So it's.
I have. So nowadays, I talk very much about being, I'm 44 years old. I'm a mum. I run a business. I'm going through perimenopause. I'm recently separated from my husband. I've got lots and lots of little things going on. My mum died. So things going on that tend to affect not all middle-aged people, but lots of middle-aged women in particular, but, male, female. So I talk about those things because there aren't enough people talking about them. And when I do talk about these things, my comments are full of people going, thank God it's not just me. Thank you for being out there and talking about this stuff because I'm suffering too. And it's good to know I'm not alone. So it helped. It's a kind of therapy in a weird way for me because I'm talking about something, which is good for you anyway, but I'm also getting people reach out to me saying, thank you. And it's not just you, it's me as well. And, and even if it offers someone just a tiny bit of help in some way, that's great. I'm willing to do it and I enjoy it.
Yeah. And I say I've been following you, and there's some interesting stuff in there and some really relatable stuff. So how then do you monetize that? How then, if you're not doing the hard sell and you're talking about relatable stuff that isn't anything to do with your business, how are you making money from TikTok?
So originally I did talk about my business and made money from TikTok with that. And then when I pivoted the account, there's a couple of different ways I can make money from it. So one of the ways at the moment that I can do is by when you've got over 10,000 followers and lots of video views, you can monetize any video that's over a minute long, that gets over 1,000 views, starts to become something that TikTok will pay you for. There's something called a creator fund. If I do a video, I generally make it over a minute long because if it happens to take off, then it will make me money. So that's one way. And I have to say that's not made me. It does make some creators thousands and thousands of pounds a month. I don't go viral quite enough to make that amount of money, but I make usually a couple of hundred a month, a couple of £100 a month from that one. My big way of making money at the moment from it is the affiliate side of things. So back to my roots of being an affiliate, but this is being an affiliate marketer for people who sell their products on TikTok Shop. And I will try those products out and then I will link to them. But I do it in a non-salesy way. So I will talk about how I feel about that product. Is it working? Is it not working? What's good? What's bad? Especially as a middle-aged woman, how does this thing, so it could be some makeup or something like that. How does this work with someone who's got some fine lines, who's, got creasing under the eyes? Because the 20-year-olds putting this makeup on you know, yeah, of course they're going to look incredible, but let's see how it works on someone who's in their mid-40s. And so then what I will say is, quite often I won't even say whether I think it's good or bad, but what I will say is, what do you think, to the audience? Like, what do you think? And then I'll say, right, I've linked it below, and then I'll point to where I've linked it, and then people tend to buy it.
Brilliant. I mean, that does neatly bring me on to rubbing bananas into your skin.
Yeah, I know, one of my biggest videos ever.
Tell me how
Yes.
that came about, and what that is, just for anybody out there listening.
Rubbing bananas into my face. So yeah, I mean, why not? Why not? So what happened was, I was following a lady who's a little bit younger than me, but she kept showing these pictures of herself a year ago compared to now, and the things she's been doing to improve her skin. And one of the things that she does, it's all about natural skincare. And one of the things she does is she uses a banana skin and rubs it on her face. And then she puts castor oil underneath her eyes with some cucumber slices, and she sort of sits there for 10, 15 minutes. And so I decided, TikTok loves a journey. Okay, so if you're on day one of a journey, you can do a video and say, right, so I went on. I did look awful. My skin was looking terrible at the time, and I had no makeup on, and I was just sat there in my dressing gown. And I went, right, and I started rubbing this banana on my face. I went, right, I've been following this lady, and this is what she suggests. So I'm going to try and change my 44-year-old skin and see how it goes. And that video got I think some 1.2 million views at the moment. So yeah. 1.2 million people.
That starting one, or was that sort of, did you get the same on follow-up videos for that?
Not as much.
On your journey.
So yes, I did lots of follow-up videos about it, and things that were working, weren't working. So there are things that she suggested, this lady, that I tried that didn't work for me. So I went on and I was quite honest about, this works, this doesn't. I found this that does work, and that doesn't. So yes, it was one of those follow-ups that, although it only, I say only, this is still really good, it got to about 100,000 views, I think, but it was comparing my before and after. So it's about a week on. It didn't take long for it to have an effect on my skin. And then the Sun picked up on it and chucked it in their online paper, which was fun. Yeah.
So did anything come off the back of that, of being in the paper?
Yeah, you'd have thought, I'd be world famous by now, wouldn't you? But it really, I still go down the street unrecognized, which is weird. I know, it's not good enough, really. But what came of it was, all of a sudden my phone lit up and I got a flurry of messages from my friends who had seen me on there. I didn't particularly get any more followers or anything like that from it. I was a little bit annoyed that they just took the content without asking me. I'm very fortunate that I'm part of an agency, and I asked the agency if they could help out, and they contacted the Sun for me. So in the end, I got paid 120 quid for it, which, it's not the thousands I was hoping for, or millionaire status from being in the Sun. But yeah, it was good. And what I'm really grateful for is, it was an article that didn't have access to comments. No one could leave a comment, because God knows, I know the comments on my TikTok were bad enough, so I just didn't want to see what people who read the Sun would say.
How do you deal with that? Because that is something that, obviously, if you have that many followers and then your videos are getting that many views, obviously there are going to be the trolls out there that are not going to be very nice. How do you cope with that?
Yeah. I like to use the trolls to my advantage when I feel like it. So one of that one where I was doing the banana peel, because obviously I'm saying I'm a 44, and someone in my comments said, "You look like you're in your 60s." So I decided, without referring to the comment, what you can do on TikTok is you can do a video reply to a comment. So I did a video reply. So that little comment was up in the corner of my video, and I just started talking about something to do with my skincare. I didn't reference this comment at all. I just left it up there. And my God, that person got absolutely roasted, because what people can do is go back to that comment and reply to it.
Yeah.
And the amount of people that were like, she doesn't look like she's in her 60s. There were some really backhanded comments that were like, she doesn't look like she's in her 60s. She doesn't look 44 either. She's definitely, but you know, I was like, thanks.
You have to be pretty thick-skinned, though, don't you?
I think what helps me is to realize that when someone is commenting something negative about someone else, it is very much a reflection of them and not you. If someone feels the need to put that kind of effort in to say something negative about something, you can think it. Everyone has their things, you know, their thoughts, their judgmental thoughts, whether they like it or not. Everyone has judgmental thoughts about others. But to make the effort to actually write it and try and hurt another person's feelings, that for me says, it speaks volumes about the person that does it. Yeah. And so I try. There has been the odd comment over the 3 years I've been doing this that has upset me. I won't lie. And what I tend to do if that happens is I will shut the app down completely and walk away from it for hours and hours and hours. Because I think one of the things that I've had to help certain people, some of my students do, is navigate how to cope with the comments when you do go viral. And it was something I wasn't anticipating having to help people with. But I've had to help people with, when you go viral, you shut down the app, you go for a walk if you've got access to that, or you just turn off your phone and go to bed and you don't look at it until you're in a mentally strong place. Because yes, there are some really nasty people out there.
But it's a very vulnerable thing to do, isn't it? I mean, what you're doing, and specifically what you're doing around your age and midlife crisis, menopause, all of those things. It's a very vulnerable thing. And I think in terms of obviously what I do when I'm working with people to build confidence around speaking to an audience, this is very much part of it. It's that kind of vulnerability that comes with sharing something about you, about yourself, putting yourself on the line to be judged. And so many people, that stops them doing anything at all. What kind of advice would you give them, you know, in terms of showing up?
I would say choose what you're happy to be vulnerable about and how much you're willing to share. So as an example, I'm not willing to share, my kids don't go on social media at all. That's just not something I am happy having on there. So I know that if I had, because they're hilarious, my kids, I know that I could probably go viral over and over again if I was showing them. Flat refuse to. That's part of my limits. Second thing I will not do, yes, I'm going through a divorce, but I will not speak badly about my ex-husband. And I don't think that's fair on anyone in my family. And actually, I don't really have anything bad to say about him, to be fair. So I will not do that. When I was talking about my mum's death, I was very mindful that I was saying the practical things rather than going into depth about things that might hurt my family. So I have my limits. I'm happy to share things about me that I want to share. So for example, this morning I've done a video on weight loss because I've been, you know, perimenopausal and, you know, I'm an eater of my feelings. So I've been gaining weight recently and I need to do something about it. And I've joined this new thing. And so I thought, right, I'm going to do a video on it. And there's lots of people who have started following me because of that, because they are also in the same position as me. I'm happy to talk about my weight. I'm happy to talk about certain things, but you've got to set your limits, I think, from the very beginning of what's not going to affect you and your family too negatively. And so that you can you've got to stay in a really positive mental state of mind, because otherwise you won't keep to it anyway. So
you've got to have boundaries, haven't you? It's, you know, I always say to people, only share the stuff that you're comfortable sharing, but also it's not about self-indulgence, it's about helping the audience. It's always about the audience. So exactly, you know, you have to have those kind of boundaries. Well, we've had a couple of questions come in, so let's have a look. Liam, hello, lovely to have you here.
Hi, Liam.
As a monetized creator, do you feel pressure to create in such a way so as not to fall out of favor with the platform's algorithm?
Pressure. So I've stuck to my guns in terms of the type of content I create. I've never really veered from that. I've been lucky that the algorithm has changed to prefer my kind of content, which is the more authentic, original content, rather than anything too copycatish. The only thing I will do, so for example, that video I was saying today, was that I was talking about my weight loss. When I first filmed it, it was 59 seconds long. So I on purpose added a little bit on the end to make it over a minute, so that if it happened to do well, I would get monetized. So in that way, yes, it's not pressure as such, but I know that 59-second video would have earned me no money at all, whereas 1 minute, 1 second does earn me money.
Yeah. Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. And from Richard here on, happy to have you here, Richard. Now, Richard, I reckon you'd be great on TikTok. I'm not even sure if you are on TikTok. You'll have to let us know. You've raised several great points, Michelle. We can all be mean, angry and cranky, but why bother? And it's up to all of us to draw our lines in the sand about what we share, about our behind the scenes and our personal lives.
Yeah. Exactly. And I think another thing I don't do is share where I am. I might say something like Dorset, but I will not be more specific than that, because I don't, on the off chance someone, sees something and decides to come to your door, you don't want that either, do you? So I'm very, one of the things that I occasionally do is I go for a walk. I will make sure that if I'm going for a walk, there's nothing discerning, there's no road signs, there's nothing around me to say where I live, that sort of thing. So yeah, you've got to be a little bit careful.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and actually I hadn't really even considered that. I mean, because if you're putting personal stuff on there and people are seeing you day in and day out, and you have followers that are following you, then you do have to be careful, don't you? And so
one thing I've made a mistake I've made a couple of times is I've done unboxing videos of products, and occasionally I've opened it so my address is visible on the video. Thankfully, both times it's happened, I've had someone quite quickly in my comments say, by the way, you've got this thing on, so I've been able to take the videos down. But yeah, I keep making the same mistake, so I don't learn from them. But I try and keep my privacy, as private as possible. Yeah.
So just what were you doing before this? What was the business that you had before? Where did you start? What did you train as? What was the training that kind of got you to the place where you can do what you're doing now, even with the affiliate marketing, the affiliate sales?
Yeah, I didn't really have any training. I did. So I suppose in a way I did. So before I'd started any of this, I was working in my dad's financial advisors firm, and I was doing different things, compliance officer. I was doing a bit of financial advice at one point, and lots of different things in that. But one of the things I used to love going and doing was networking. And I suppose in terms of public speaking, which obviously you've helped me a lot with as well, Jackie. But in terms of public speaking, I used to. Oh my God, I would feel sick with nerves, but I used to do the standing up. First of all, just standing up and doing your 1 minute, your elevator pitch. That used to terrify me for a start.
Yeah.
I would literally get palpitations. My hands would sweat. The people that were before me, I wouldn't hear a word they were saying because I was so nervous about my own thing. And then it would take me about 15 minutes to calm down afterwards. I wasn't really listening to the other people because I was so engrossed in my own nerves. And then I pushed myself to do things like, the 10-minute talk that you can do at the front, sometimes that you can do at networking events. And I did that 2 or 3 times. And I think by the end of that, I got, I was a lot more comfortable with it. And so maybe that, brought itself forward in terms of presenting skills for TikTok. But my first year of TikToks, I tended to be quite starey at the screen and almost not blinking, and quite awful. How I made any sale, how anyone thought they wanted to work with me, I'm not entirely sure. But gradually I relaxed into it, and it was the practice. And then I started doing public speaking. I came to you, didn't I, Jackie, for one of your power hours, just to help me hone that public speaking a little bit. And now I can do a talk in front of, 60 people, and I might feel slightly nervous for about a minute before I go on, but beyond that, I am fine. It doesn't bother me. In fact, I love it. I really enjoy it. So
yeah. And I think that's part of my job, is to get people to the point where they are excited because they are comfortable with who they are and what they're saying. And I'm literally writing a blog article at the moment on how 70% of my job is actually working on the content, because you can't. The confidence comes from the content. It doesn't come from me telling you how to breathe properly or how to speak with clarity, articulate. It's actually about what you're talking about, because you have to believe it. And you have to really sort of be comfortable with it, and then practice. And then once you practice and you practice again, and then you step up here and you do there, and the more you do it, the better and easier it will feel, until eventually you are happy to be there.
Yeah. And I think there's a couple of things you did. So first of all, you honed my presentation. So you were like, actually, I would rather know about this than that. And, so you helped me hone that to make it a really good presentation. Second of all, the piece of advice that I think has stuck with me that you gave me was, when you feel nerves, that is essentially the same feeling as when you feel excitement. So just, and because my eldest daughter's just gone on her first ever residential night away. This is her first time. And I said to her, I was using your advice, like, turn those nerves into excitement, because she was looking forward to lots about it. She was just really nervous about, she'd never been away for a night before.
Yeah. And that's the thing with kids as well, is, even my 21-year-old is kind of embarking on new things. Friends that I've got, kids that are doing stuff for the first time, they get this feeling and they assume it's nerves, but actually a lot of the time it is just excitement and, sort of the thought of something new and different happening. So,
exactly.
I'm glad for that.
It was a great piece of advice. And I will never forget that you got me to sweep your kitchen floor with my hands that time. Never will I forget that, and never will I stop telling people about it, Jackie. You pretended like it was some sort of a confidence exercise, but I know what you were up to.
It's not a lot you can do with your fingertips, though, really.
No, it was very bad.
I will explain that one day. If anybody wants to know exactly what I was getting Michelle to do, sweeping with the fingertips, I'll put that in the comments after. Well, we've almost come to the end. I can't believe we've done 30 minutes already, practically. I know you are getting on more stages now. I know that you were putting on your own events. You were very much front of the room. And I'm really glad to hear that I helped you with that. That's fantastic, because I think you are somebody that is very relatable, and you're putting yourself out there for the sake of the rest of us. You're actually showing other people that it can be done, and actually it can be beneficial to your business. So that's amazing, and more power to you standing up and telling people that.
Thank you.
So before we finish, just tell me, in your own opinion, with your own words, what you think makes a good speaker good and a bad speaker suck.
Okay. Having watched many people speak, having watched many TikToks as well, the quick answer is, get to the point. No fluff. Get to the point. People just want to know the point. So as an example, I've recently started, when I am speaking, I never anymore introduce myself. People know who I am because they've seen me advertised on they're there to see me. So I don't need to say, hello, my name is Michelle and I do this. So I will go straight into a story now.
Yeah.
And that's what I suggest on TikTok. It's what I suggest when you're doing any kind of video content or any kind of speaking. Get straight to a point that's going to capture, is that the right word? Or, get people really involved straight away from the beginning, because no one cares what your name is and what you do.
Absolutely agree with that. Absolutely agree. Draw them in right from the beginning. As soon as you step on, it's that kind of takeoff. You can go straight into it. So absolutely agree with that. And what makes the speaker suck?
I'm saying, I think that sounds really awful, but probably someone who's not very prepared or doesn't know their stuff very well. I think whenever I've gone in and done any kind of talking where I'm not really 100% sure on what I'm talking about, you can tell.
Yeah.
So if I do a video on a product or something that I'm not 100% convinced about, you can tell in my content because I'm not coming across the same. And those videos don't do well at all. So I think, you know, be passionate and know your subject inside out, and then you're onto a winner, aren't you?
Absolutely. If you don't believe what you're saying, your audience won't believe it either. So yeah, you
Absolutely,
have to really know your stuff. Well, that's brilliant. Thank you so much for that. We've got Richard's just come back and said, yay for Dorset. And no, not on TikTok yet. Woo! I don't know if you know Richard's work, Michelle, but Richard makes
I've heard of Richard.
Yeah, with his lawyer. He gives lawyer advice, legal advice, should I say. So yeah, I think he'd do very, and a film buff, big film buff, so I think he'd be brilliant on TikTok. Definitely. But if there's anybody out there that would is watching on the replay even, you are still welcome to leave a comment, ask a question. We'll endeavour to get back to you. So before we go, I am going to put up this link, which I think this is I think you've got a couple of TikTok.
Yeah. So there's this one, which is my, as you can see, midlife crisis one. And I do have one that's michelle.haslam.official as well, which talks more about the TikTok for business stuff. So that's on there as well. Yeah.
That is your Instagram.
I'm on Instagram as well. You will notice a discrepancy between TikTok and Instagram. I have maybe 600 followers on Instagram compared to thousands on TikTok. You will see I don't put much effort into it except repurposing. So
yes, I do, yeah. Well, if you go to mine, I've got a lot fewer than that.
Have you?
Not fewer. Yes.
Not my platform. Not my platform at all. No. But I am. I do check it.
I am hoping to do more. I'm hoping to do more. If anybody wants to find out any more about me and Power to Speak, about my Power Hour or any of my coaching programs, then go to Power to Speak. If you want to come and sweep my kitchen floor with your fingertips, then get in touch.
It's what we do.
What we do really well. And talking about affiliate sales, I'm noticing Sarah Townsend's books on your shelf back there, and I'm just wondering whether I should have put a link to Sarah Townsend's little book of Confusables.
Yeah, do you know what? I love her books. She messaged me the other day and I completely forgot to reply. So you've just reminded me that I need to reply to her. But yeah, her books are amazing.
Yes.
The freelancer book is quite life-changing as well when you're a freelancer.
Yes, I know. I've read them. I've got them both as well. She's brilliant. Oh, well, thank you so much for your time today, Michelle. It's been really, really enjoyable, really interesting, and I certainly will be trying to follow your example on TikTok and get myself out there a little bit more.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
You're more than welcome. Next week, I have with me Shelley Rostland, who helped with her talk that she did at Creator Day a couple of weeks ago. So she's coming back on, having done the talk, to tell us how it went and how she felt about the process coming out the other side. So we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.